We are live on YouTube. It looks like we are playing Hollywood Squares. But let's...
I'll play the part of Paul Lynn.
Oh, I'm Ruth.
Let us start the show, and here's how it starts.
You were told you better listen to the radio. I'm on a Mexican radio. Thank God for Hit Sound WJPF KTMO FM AM Cape Girardeau.
Once upon a time I was the king of the dial. I used to be a radio guy. What happened to me? Just another idiot with
I mean, this is ridiculous. It ain't a 1 hour television spectacular.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Uncle Gary.
and Sara is there. Hang on, Sara. Now I gotta push the buttons that put you on the show.
Yes.
We are live. We're not just goofing around here.
Hi.
Quick button push. And Sarah's on the show.
I'm doing a parade way.
Wade, I heard
I had
you.
a Jay Pearce moment today, and I was really sad this morning. So I went immediately to Dunkin' Donuts and got 3 dozen donuts and dispersed them all amongst my coworkers.
I was waiting for you to say you ate them all.
I'm upset today. Maybe somebody else is having a worse day. So we're all just going to have donuts and make it all right.
Good.
I'm waiting for you to say that you ate all 3 dozen. That's what I would do.
I haven't had a donut. Yeah. You want to say something, Gary? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm always about to say something because it's broadcasting. This is the Jay and Gary Show, everybody. It is August 21st. Jay passed away 1 year ago this morning, 5:20 a.m. And we got some folks together to just...
Gary, you're mute.
I'm muted?
No, we can hear him. I can hear you.
I can't hear him.
Okay, everybody else can hear me, but Sara can't, but Sara's hearing everybody else. Right? Sara, you're hearing... I was going to ask Sara if she was hearing everybody else.
Are you hearing everybody else, Sara?
Yeah, I can hear you and Cyndi and Melissa.
Oh.
But not me.
Can you guys hear Gary?
Yeah.
Weird.
That is strange.
So weird.
This will make it difficult to do a show.
Gary said. Sara.
Yeah.
Turn on closed caption.
Okay, I'm going to try joining from the app instead of the browser and see if that does anything. I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay. It's going to turn her back into a question mark, I think. Oh, no, just froze her for now. I normally know how to fix this Zoom stuff, but I've never come across... Everybody can hear one person, but one person can't hear one person. Very strange. Anyway, it is the Jay and Gary Show. August 21st, a day that lives in infamy with us anyway, not the rest of the world, but yeah, a big chunk of Illinois, I guess. I was watching a Star Trek episode last night, and they thought that Geordi and Ensign Rowe had died. Turned out they had just phased. They do that a lot. But they were having a memorial service that they turned into a party, or that they just established as a party. I think we did that in Champaign shortly after Jay passed away. We had a celebration that was not maudlin. It was mostly people having a good time. So that we'll try to do some of that, even though Sarah's pretty sad today. And we'll do some reminiscing, and I have some audio to play of Jay at various stages of his career. Early on, back in the 70s, and a little bit later in the 90s. And we'll get to that in a little bit. I'm just kind of waiting for Sara to pop back in on the Zoom.
I'm back on.
Oh, you're back. Okay. Yeah, let me...
And she can hear you.
And you can hear me. Awesome.
I switched to the phone.
There we go.
There you are.
How much battery have you got left on that phone?
100%.
Okay, you might make it through the show.
I have a charger close by.
All right, so I will. I'll play some of that audio as we do the show. Tell you what, let me. We missed a little thing at the end of the intro that I did because Sara was coming on. Dale is not here. Dale's a little bit under the weather today, so he's not here. But I do have a little bit of Dale that we can hear. Let me see if I can make this play.
Spectacular.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's here's Uncle Gary.
That is my nephew, Jay's son, Sarah's half brother, Dale Pearce. In a recording he made as I was heading out to the radio station that I worked at in Lake Havasu City. That would have been 1986. So I've got a lot more in that recording session that we did with him that if we played it all, we would, except that the statute of limitations has probably expired, Jay and I would be hauled into court for child abuse. Someday we'll play that.
Only imagine.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to September of 1977, and this is what Jay sounded like on the radio back then.
Well, look who strolled in the door, Mike Powell. And he will have Newswatch at 7:05 this morning, the world of sports, shortly after 7:10. Mutual News is next at 7.
This is WJPF Aram, saluting Charles Adams of Marion, our very good neighbor.
The 7 o'clock Mutual News is being brought to you by Web Building and Remodeling. At the tone from the Mutual Broadcasting System, 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time.
2,000 residents of Mansfield, Ohio, returning to their homes this morning.
You won't have to listen to all of that. It's edited.
News.
If you are thinking about building or remodeling that old home of yours, or thinking about building...
I thought I'd leave in some of the old commercials just because it shows what small-time radio that we all worked in sounds like.
And remodeling in Royalton. And at 7:05, it's time for WJPF's News Watch, local and regional news and weather with Mike Powell. This news being brought to you by Doris Appliance this morning. And good morning to you, Michael.
Powell? Do we know
Pearce,
Mike
good morning.
Powell?
It's 5 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock on this cool Tuesday morning.
I'm seeing everybody's shaking their head. We don't know who he is.
Fahrenheit, it's 55 degrees. Governor James Thompson has vetoed legislation that would have taxed coal sold for use outside the state.
Doris Appliances in West Frankfort, Christopher, and Marion.
Jay, it's the coolest morning of the season, 12 degrees Celsius, and that corresponds to 55 degrees on the Fahrenheit scale.
Mike Powell likes to read the temperature in Celsius. I don't know why.
Today, mostly sunny and pleasant with a high of 75. Tonight, fair and quite cool once again. We'll have another one of these 50-degree days with a low in the lower 50s. And for tomorrow, Wednesday, mostly sunny, a little bit warmer as we reach the 80-degree mark once again.
Repeating the temperatures, 12 degrees on the Celsius scale, Fahrenheit 55 at 7:09. I'm Mike Powell reporting for WJPF's Newswatch.
And this report of Newswatch has been brought to you by Doris Appliances. Stay tuned. The world of sports is next.
There's that certain something about the way Jack Snyder of Energy TV does his TV sales and services.
Now is the time to think about a winter coat.
And at 10
Now is the time. That guy's got the disc jockey in him.
Will hold its fall fashion show and luncheon this afternoon, beginning 12:30 in the University Center ballrooms in Carpenter.
JPF.
I think so. Would that be in 77?
It should have been WJHP. I mean, come on.
What Jay referred to that as we're Jay Pearce fans for WJPF.
Yeah, he had some.
Yep. So he sounded pretty good. He sounded small market, but pretty good for small market. He wasn't talking like this anyway.
No.
Well, one of the Hedblades said he had a velvety voice, which was totally true.
Yeah. Yep. So Wade and Margie, who are in the box to my, I can never figure out which way to, there, to my left. You are radio people.
Well, we were.
You were radio. I think it's one of those things that once a radio person, always a radio person.
Yeah, Jay got me into the business. I showed up at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, and went down to the public radio station to volunteer and audition. I met Jay. He hired me. And the rest is history. That was 1987.
What years were you at WLRW?
At LRW, I was there from 97 to 2000. Only 3 years.
Wow. She was on every morning.
Yeah, I did. In Champaign-Urbana, I did morning drive.
Right.
Yeah, so so even though I started in news with Jay as my mentor and a good solid foundation in journalism, I eventually switched to the entertainment side of things and just cracked jokes and made fun of people.
Was it
Is WLRW, was that mix?
Yes, yes. That was.
I remember that. You used to be able to get tickets to the women's basketball games.
Oh, you went to many games with us.
Yeah, I remember that.
And gymnastics.
Yeah.
Because I was also the voice of the women's basketball team, PA announcer. That's hilarious. I know nothing about sports. And somehow they let me be the PA announcer. And also for men's and women's gymnastics, I was the PA announcer. And the coolest part that came out of the women's basketball part was once a year they play a game at the United Center. So I've actually announced a game in the United Center, which was kind of the highlight of my career.
Awesome.
Did you work at any other commercial or public stations?
I worked at the Web, 93.5, with Jay and the Hedblades. And, gosh, no. Oh, yes, CILFM Carbondale. I did morning drive news there.
There you go.
Oh, let's see. We have memorabilia.
Oh, there you go.
So at CILFM is where I met Joey Helene, Jay's very good friend and roommate.
Right.
So that's kind of how I got pulled into the whole gang of incestuous radio. Because then I worked for Jay again in Champaign. And, once you're in the mafia, you're never getting out. It's basically how it works.
Did you guys just kind of coincidentally meet back up in Champaign? Or was it like a plan that someone was going to move to Champaign and then someone moved after?
We moved to Champaign, Jerome and I, my first husband. We moved there because he got the morning drive job at WLRW.
Oh, okay.
At the time, I was not in radio. So he moved us to Champaign, started our family, lived there for many years. And then Jay showed up to start the Web.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. So I was in Champaign starting in 92, and I guess Jay got there in 95, 96, whatever year that was. Yeah, so I was there before him, and he's like, I'm coming to Champaign. I'm like, awesome. And he's like, and you're going to work for me. And I'm like, awesome.
So where were you working when you first got there?
I was a paralegal.
Yeah, I knew about that.
Yeah, so I was working at a law firm, and he's like, no, you're coming back to radio.
What's your degree in?
My degree is in mass communications.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But then I got a second, associates in paralegal studies.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I have had so many jobs in so many fields.
That makes me feel better because my dad always used to give me shit about how many jobs I've had. You remember that, Melissa? He would count.
No, I didn't know he was counting, but
no, I didn't. I didn't hit my stride. I didn't hit my stride career-wise till I was 35 when I got into project management, and then that was my calling.
I think it takes that long. It can take that long for sure. So that's why I'm not concerned about you, Sarah, because you just keep working. So that's all that's important.
That's all we do.
So that was Margie, that was the end of your radio career?
Yeah, and the radio career ended in 2000, and then I looked into a job by word of mouth. I had never done project management, but somebody recommended me. They're like, this girl can do anything. She's really smart. So they hired me, and that's the career I stayed in until I retired.
What projects did you manage?
I always worked in the IT space. I know nothing about IT. I used to work with a team of 63 men. I was the only woman, and it was my job to keep them on budget, on schedule, keep their shit together.
Wash their hands.
So I didn't need to understand what they were doing. I just needed to make sure they did it and yell at them when they weren't doing it on time or on budget.
Cyndi, does that sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
And you had the technical background as well, but
yeah, I was in IT pretty much my entire career. So
yeah, and this I started in 2003, which was the very beginning of outsourcing a lot of IT work to India and bringing over a lot of the H-1B visas.
Yep.
So I had quite an international team, and I don't think it's so much like this now, but almost 25 years ago, those men that were coming over were not used to women in the workplace. They did not like listening to me. They were a little bit afraid of me. It was a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, but Margie, she worked with a bunch of men, and before some of the people from overseas came into the department, she would tell me stories, and this is before, or maybe they had this non-disclosure agreement, but she'd walk into some man's office and say, "Okay, I know you want to know, but they're real," and like pointing at.
Never did that to a foreigner. I did that to some of my American coworkers.
And my eyes are up here.
Which is funny because anyone that knows me knows I don't have a curvy figure. So that would be my joke. I'd be like, yeah, they're real. Like, yeah, no shit.
Oh, hey, look who comes on when you start talking about your chest.
What's up, dude?
Hey, we're talking about Margie's tits. Let's go.
Oh, we have an extra person on the show.
Oh, there's a Hedblade.
She wasn't. Hey, sorry, folks. I'm in the middle of my day here, so I'm trying to work while I'm listening to y'all. But it's fun to hear you. Believe it or not, though, Margie wasn't the person at the web who was nicknamed Jugs of all people. So that belonged to our friend Cheryl Weedy.
Cheryl Weedy, who was, if it's possible, Cheryl Weedy was even more flat-chested than me. So, she was Jugs.
Absolutely.
She's the only person I ever allowed to nickname herself. Because she said one time, she said, I wish I had a good nickname. I'd like to be nicknamed like Jugs. And I was like, and Jugs it is.
And of course,
because I called her bluff. I don't think she actually did want to be called Jugs. So.
And Pearce, being Pearce, and he's in charge of the radio station. Did he ever reprimand us? No. He encouraged us.
I encouraged debauchery.
Yes. And we wonder why that station went under.
Well, it didn't go under from a sexual harassment lawsuit, though it could have.
So easily could have.
He explained different things.
Rich Heights, anyone? Rich Heights?
That whole thing never made sense. All I knew was that you fired him, and that he had it and then he didn't. It was like the station was his and then it wasn't. Sort of.
My mom said that there was somebody else that co-owned it or like bought it and then sold it, something like that.
Yeah, the guys that owned it or invested in it weren't on site. They were up in Chicago. So Jay ran the show. But when it wasn't making money, then the big shots in Chicago were like, Jay, you got to go. And they called me and they're like, Margie, you need to go fire Jay and take away the keys to his company car.
Wow.
That's wild because I looked on the Wayback Machine at, I think it was 97-ish. But I was looking at the website and it's all ads. Like that, there had to be revenue coming in.
Not enough. I don't know. I know what they paid me, and it wasn't much.
So you guys feel like you're just on a Zoom call, but this is a show, and so we need to introduce that it was Jay Hedblade who has showed up, kind of in the background, and I finally was able to get him on the screen. And while we're talking about WEBX, let me just play a little clip of audio from there, and then I'd like to talk more about it because that was kind of Jay and I talked about it some on the podcast, but it was a bit of a mystery hole for me. So this is what Jay sounded like. And as we were getting the podcast together, Jay claims he put that radio station together, but he couldn't put a webcast studio together and play audio through it. So this audio you'll hear is from him holding a cassette player up to his microphone. It'll sound a little bit weird.
Wrapping up another extra long set of good music on the Web 93.5 with Johnny Cash covering Soundgarden's Rusty Cage. It is Jay Pearce till midnight. Listen to Wait and Make with Clinton Porter Monday morning for your chance to win one of several copies. Bonnie DeFranco's new double CD, Living in a Clip. Win it before you can buy it, and you too will be saying,
I'm one of the lucky schmucks.
It's only from your friends at
the Web 93.5.
That's all I've got from Jay back on the web. Sadly. Jay Hedblade, you have some old audio from back then, right? You've been promising to send me?
I can probably remedy a bit of that for you.
Yep.
But it's funny, we that radio station was such a fly by the seat of the pants situation, and I mean that in the good way. It was kind of all hands on deck. It was only a handful of us that were doing kind of everything. I'm sure anybody who's worked in radio has had at least one of those experiences where you're wearing 5 different hats over the course of a day. We were having a lot of fun, but we didn't stop to think about things like, I don't know, maybe we ought to get an air check while we were just in the middle of it so much. So I came out of that whole experience with precious little, but I do have some. So I managed when we did one of our web anniversaries. I can't remember if maybe it was our 10-year anniversary. I managed to cobble together as much as I could. I had some tapes that had some ads on them and things like that, and I kind of pieced together a mock broadcast, and it came out all right. So there's plenty of Jay Pearce ad work that I have for sure.
That is something that if you work in a small to medium market radio station, you have an air shift. You're the big star. And then you have a commercial production shift. And
for sure.
Yeah. So
what's interesting is Jay started out as our morning man. when we first signed on, and that was because he was general manager. You know, he didn't really want that job, and we eventually got it to the point where we got him off of mornings so that he could focus his attention on the general managing of the radio station, which it needed some. And we had him like doing overnight voiceover stuff, and Margie did some too for that. And then he could actually perform his managerial jobs. But again, yeah, it was just one of those situations where we didn't have the people to sit in the seat, so everybody had to jump in and do a little bit every single day like that.
You had early voice track automation. Could the station run all by itself if someone spent an hour recording their pieces and then pushing the button to go?
We got there right before I and my brother Jock exited. We were just at that point. Here's the funny thing. So this was the first radio station that I ever worked at that didn't have cart machines, didn't have anything like that. We were all digital in a pretty early era of doing that. Now there and our music database for the station was, you know, an old DOS system. But we did get that up, running, functioning, and into automation. And yeah, we toward the end, Margie, you did tracking for overnights, right?
Yes, I did. I did.
So yeah, and Jay would do one. That's one of the airships that ended up being some of the airships that I ended up getting because I just enjoyed listening to Jay and Margie and our station. I not only did I work there, I got to be one of those people that was actually a fan of the radio station I worked at. And
so you actually listened to it when you weren't on the air.
I enjoyed it. So they were on overnight, and I would set up a recorder to record the overnight while I was actually sleeping. And then, you know, when I was riding around in the car or coming up to Chicago or something, that I could still listen to my radio station while I was in Chicago, and I would listen to their overnight shifts. And those ended up being a lot of the air checks that I have. So I have more air checks of Margie and Jay than I actually have of myself at the web.
What power was that station? How far did it cover? Was it a 3,000 watt, basically a local?
Sounds right. 3,000 sounds right.
Yeah. Jay, while you were speaking, I ran and fetched. You made this.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yes.
Yes. So this, I unfortunately don't have a way to play this. If anyone would like to digitize this, I would be happy to mail this to anybody that could digitize this.
Okay, mail it to Mystery Street, the place that I got the reel-to-reel tapes done.
Oh, they're going to charge you for it. No, a CD I can transfer.
Okay, yeah. This has got 57 tracks on it of bloopers and outtakes, and Jay did a great job on this.
Oh, okay. We have to have that.
All right, I'll send
a file of that.
Here's what's funny though, of all the bloopers on there, guess who has the fewest on that?
That would be Jay, right?
One Take Pearce. He doesn't have a lot. He didn't mess up like the rest of us did. My brother, on the other hand, has like 15, 20 takes of him trying to do one spot, which is, and it's that kind of is the thread through that whole thing, because it was one of those things where, again, a handful of people, it was probably, and I'm not kidding, 3 or 4 in the morning, and we're trying to cut an ad because you know, that was when we had time to do it, and he's worn out for the day, and then it's like I wrote some ridiculous copy that was far too wordy or something.
People love the blooper reels. They are the bane of the production people. We hate them.
Yes.
Because all it does is make us work longer and harder.
On that blooper reel, though, is a bonus track at the end of it. I don't know if it's listed there, but it's actually Jay Pearce and Andy Pearce as kids.
Circa 1968.
Show that to the camera.
It's I'm sorry, it's Jay and
Oh, there's a ton there.
Andy Abrams.
Yeah, it's track 57, the bonus track.
And it's them at home as kids with a recorder doing a mock radio broadcast. That is, which Jock and I did the same thing when we were kids. And then when I heard that one, I went, okay, well, we were the true amateurs. He was actually already doing it. It's pretty fun.
How come my brother Jay, because we got two J's on here now, how come he did not have that CD to play when we were doing the podcast?
Maybe he forgot about it, or maybe it was he had boxes and boxes and boxes of.
Gary, did you not go up to the attic? Because the attic is just full of random boxes.
Yeah, I saw
CDs that are very vaguely labeled. Melissa and I found a box of CDs, and Melissa and I were looking through them, and like one of them would say pictures, and then the next few would have some pictures but no label, and then one of them would say like J and some year, and he was not very great at labeling things, but he has documents of a lot of things.
He had a lot to do.
Yeah, so send that to me, and I can get it into broadcastable form, and we'll
perfect.
We'll play them out as we do more. This show is going to continue. And Jay and your brother Jocko, I would love to have you guys. I know I had mentioned it before, and we never really got around to doing very much about it. But I'd love to have you guys come on, and as two, like I say, you may have left the radio business, but the radio business has not left you.
Well, it's funny. We actually just had my brother and I just did a road trip this past weekend together, and we were talking about what we might do along those lines. So yeah, it doesn't leave you.
Yeah. I had to talk Jay into doing the podcast several times. I think he had other feelers out for doing other projects, and either none of them came through or whatever, but finally, fortunately, he said, yeah, let's get it started. And we got 14 episodes or so, and I treasure every one of them because, as we mentioned on the show many times, that we weren't that close as adults or even as kids. It's the first time that we had long, extended conversations. And when we were together, we didn't just converse like ordinary people. We did shows to each other, whether we were recording or not. And so when we started doing the podcast, we didn't get on for 15 minutes before the show. As soon as he was on, I pushed record because I knew that we would start doing a show no matter what the point was. And those for you guys too, I think, just to listen to them almost to the point where we memorized the dialogue. And I'm glad we did like 2.5, 3 hour shows and could just ramble on forever. I don't know if any audience ever thought that they were interesting.
You're like two old people. You're two old married couple. They complete each other's sentences, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we meshed a lot better than I ever expected that we would. That's
nice.
Yeah. And that, if I regret anything, if I'm sad about something, because he was in, Melissa, Sara, Dale, you guys, all of you, was in your lives far more than he was ever in mine. That was the place where he was in my life, and I miss that.
I listen to it about once a month. I go through all of the episodes again and just cycle through them as I'm driving to work, and just wherever I'm driving through the day, I'll just pick up where I left off. And I love that you didn't edit it so far down and that you kept it, because there's like parts in some of the episodes where like he'll start talking and you guys will just ramble for a little bit, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, we need to do the introduction. And get through it.
You get 45 minutes into the show before we started it.
And some of the early episodes are like 3 hours, but it's gold. It's just so amazing to listen to two brothers catching up, but you guys seem like just great friends, and it just seems it's so natural and just so
I don't know. It doesn't sound uncomfortable on either end. And I'm so thankful that you guys did that. I'm thankful that you pushed him to do that, because now we all get to hear that, and we get to hear stories, old and new things, and all this. Oh my gosh, it makes me so happy.
Cyndi, you found them interminable, didn't you? Unlistenable.
Oh.
Cindy's
You're
not
thinking about your other podcasts.
Cindy's going to be polite. She can't.
No,
she does not find me a compelling broadcast personality, which is the case for so many. For those of you that have been on the air, your family doesn't regard you in awe.
No,
you're just another person. That take you or leave you, and for the most part, rather leave you as far as the broadcaster part.
Margie actually hated it when I would say, when we were in Champaign and I'd be playing my basketball buddies or somebody. You guys remember Papa, when she was with Popeye and Marge, and they're like, yeah, I like that. I'm like, I'm married to Marge. I'm like, that's so cool. But Margie would hate it when I bring that up.
Oh, it's such a foreign world. It's so far in my past. My life now is so different. I can't believe I used to talk 4 hours a day for a living, and people actually listen to me. I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird.
Well, let's see. You started out as a Jay Pearce listener, though, right?
Oh yeah. Those guys. That was a big moment when the web hit, and I think I've talked about that before, because we were kind of clunking along with PGU, although PGU's really pulling it out these days. I'm kind of enjoying them, but you guys hit, and it was like boom, especially for somebody like me. I met you, Margie. Remember, I came to the station to buy was it a sweatshirt?
Or I thought you had won a prize. I don't know.
Maybe. She came out to the car and brought it out. We were looking at each other. We didn't know that this was going to happen the way it did. But there's a lot of foreshadowing in some of that stuff. I see links through all of it. So I'm going to start crying. But no, Margie was wonderful. Those guys were all awesome. And you guys changed the music scene there for quite a bit. I think that you guys opened the door for people like Cody and Sokolsky, although I know he's changed his name now. I think you guys opened the door for the guy that bought the blind pig. I can't think of his name.
Chris Knight?
Yeah, Chris Knight. All that was all around the same time. Came booming on the scene. So Champaign was pretty cool there for a few years. Now we're kind of back to clunking along.
Thanks for saying that. That means a lot, actually, because
man,
sometimes you throw that stuff out into the void and you're not sure. I mean, obviously, we got feedback. We knew that the people that liked us a lot.
Oh yeah,
that was good. But in radio, you tend to get some fans that are really vocal, and then a lot of people you never hear from. But they may be loyal listeners. They just don't bother to call or win prizes or do any of that kind of stuff.
Well, I guess I was always curious if you guys actually had listeners on the computer, because I had a new computer and I could never get you guys over the computer.
That's funny.
I love the fact that you were on the web, but I never heard you on the web. But
that was what was interesting about that whole thing, was that it was so
rare
in its infancy at that point that we couldn't even, there wasn't equipment to buy to broadcast over the internet. We had to build it. We literally had to build it. Now, I didn't build it. I'm not that guy, but we had a guy, Bob Saldine, who was our web guru. And he, Margie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was really what he built, that component, that ended up being the money maker when the station sold. I think whoever bought the station really wanted that piece of that equation at that time.
Yeah, they were marketing the web box.
Exactly. So it wasn't the station itself or the programming that we were doing. It was that little component, that interface that he literally built in his house. I haven't talked to Bob in a long time. He's still out there, though. I don't think he's doing any radio, but that was pretty interesting. But we did, you'd come in, I'd come in the morning to do my shift, and you'd log in and look at your email, and, oh, hey, look at that. There's an email from New Zealand. Some random person had found it and said, oh, I really like, this thing you played. And then, we'd jump in and write them back. It was
like
kind of crazy that way. Yeah. To get those. And we did, we somewhere there's a little, in our promo materials that, we had built somewhere, there's a little map that had, like little pinpricks of all the different places that we had heard from across the globe. That's probably in a box in the basement somewhere. I'll try to find that for one of these days.
The idea of the station was not to be a local Champaign radio station. It was to be an international phenomenon. I don't know if you reached that level or not.
I don't think we got quite there, but that was the vision, certainly. And in fact, we had some radio people here may know a gentleman by the name of Jeff Holtz, who he also worked in the Quad Cities. I met him in Macomb, Illinois. He was one of my radio mentors. And he had very deep, very like Jay, an announcer's voice, but not an affected announcer's voice. Just really good resonance in his voice. And my brother and I got him to do some voiceover stuff for our a radio show that we were doing up here in Chicago. And when we started the web, we roped him into doing some of our liners and stuff. And he did all of our legal IDs. And our first legal ID was WEBX. I'm sorry, the web 93.5 WEBX, Tuscola, Champaign, Urbana, and the world. That was how we did our legal ID. So we had that vision, that idea of it being an international thing from the beginning, even though we had to do that legal ID.
So this is the Jay and Gary Show, the internet and the world.
You're 2 minutes late. You're 2 minutes late, Gary. You had to do that between 10 minutes to and 10 minutes after.
That's true.
Jay Hedblade.
Yes.
Hey. So one of these days, when I die and my kids are passing stuff out, you can have this.
Oh my God, that's wonderful. Was that Jay's?
Yeah, and there was did you get that?
Hold that up again. I was pushing all the wrong buttons.
You can have it after I have it for a little bit.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'm going to wear it for a little bit.
Okay, so for the audio audience, Melissa's holding up a watch.
There's a cup, but I can't reach it.
And with the watch face having the logo for the Web 93.5.
I keep the light off of it.
I have a shirt from the Web too, but he folded it and put it in a box, and I can't unfold it yet.
Oh, yeah.
Margie has a wet.
I have one hanging in my closet.
I don't know if you guys know, but my dad had a very particular way of folding clothes.
Yeah, he did.
He was very neat and organized, and there was a box of T-shirts that probably had like 30 or so T-shirts in it, and I don't think I could fit that many, but the way he folded them could fit it, and I had to pick them out very neatly because I didn't want to mess it up, because when he was really sick, it would have been probably 2 weeks ago from this day last year, like right before he went into hospice. He was sitting and he was trying to fold clothes at the table, and he was yelling at me because I wasn't doing it the way that he wanted. And
Sheldon
he showed me how to fold a shirt, and he just so precise, and I can't unfold it, but I do have a Web shirt, and I'll probably keep it folded forever. But
there was that window cling, and I thought I had it over there, but I'm going to make a memory box, a memory.
You got it. Yeah, no, Sarah, you got it. Kind of what Melissa's saying. You got to, like how athletes get their jerseys, pressed into a picture frame. You got to do that.
I'm doing that with there was a jersey and a lanyard tag that we got from the get together at SIU. Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, good one.
That was something Joey Helini had that made or something for some cancer. Oh, it's very fuzzy to me right now, but that's gonna go in a frame. And I think maybe the Stag t-shirt's probably gonna go in a frame, and definitely the web shirt. But yeah, of course. I mean that it can't just sit dusty in a corner. It's gotta be preserved somehow.
Yeah, and the Stag shirt, I don't know how much, even if you wanted to wear it, like it can't have that many more washings left in it. That thing is
no, and I don't want to risk that because Cody has some stuff that he still wears from high school that are pretty much see-through now, and I'm scared to wash those.
Cyndi, you don't know anything about that, do you?
No, the Stag shirt, the Stag and the web shirt, like those are two that if I get a hole in those, I'm just going to be so upset with myself. So I'm not touching those. I'm not wearing them. I'm not touching them. They've got to be preserved somehow. The web stuff, especially though, I think the web was such a special thing. And, my mom talks about that a lot. Just that was a few years, but it was a very special few years and just so important. Just, being the first station in Illinois that was online, right?
We were one of the first 5 stations in the world to broadcast over the internet.
That's incredible. That's trailblazing. And even if it only lasted a few years, that's so significant. And I couldn't put a hole in a shirt like that.
But you know what they say about pioneers, right? They get scalped.
Yep. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's something called the Founder's Dilemma.
We were there first. Okay, then. Hey, yeah. So I mentioned my brother and I took a road trip this past week, and we went down to we saw this bar, and we wanted to go in there and have sandwiches. And before we could even say, Jay Pearce would love this place, because we knew that he would. And I don't know if you can see this, but I took this picture of my brother. It's not probably going to come out there. That's my brother. Behind him is a neon Stag beer sign hanging in this bar. We didn't even know that when we walked in.
Wow.
And I was like, Jay's with us. He's here. He's already put his stamp on this place. So
did you guys actually drink Stag beer, or was it just a meme before we had the word meme?
Nope, he drank Stag beer.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
He
did drink Stag.
I am driving to Naperville to go buy some Stag beer because you can't buy it anywhere close to me. And so I'm going to go drive and get some actually after we do this.
Is it Naperville?
Naperville or somewhere close to there, but not around me. They don't sell it here.
Naperville may be the closest to me too.
Yeah.
Not at Woodman's?
You think they have it
I'm not sure.
in Champaign?
I was on the Stag website earlier looking, because the Stag website, just so everyone in the world knows about this, you can find exactly where they sell Stag, either at a bar or
I gotta look.
In a store. And we actually had this dilemma right before he passed. We were all trying to find somewhere that sold Stag so we could go there and have a drink while he was in hospice, and we didn't find somewhere in time, but we came pretty close. We ended up going to Brass Rail, which was one of his favorite places. So
Yeah. Plus, you got a chair there.
Locator. I found it.
Yeah.
You can't see it here, but anyway.
It's very specific, and it's such a plain beer, and it drives me crazy that it's such a specific thing that they don't sell it everywhere. But
I was going to ask whether it's a particularly decent beer. My beer drinking days are long past. I can't do that.
Honestly, it's not bad. It's not like the best beer that I've ever had, but it's, I don't know. It's like, I can't think of something very similar. It's maybe
does it beat Bud Light
so much that it's good to me? Yeah. I mean, it's a beer. It's just, when I think of like, I want to have a beer, Stag is like, it's a beer. It's not the best beer, but it's not bad.
Beer, but it's not the worst beer.
Right.
I mean,
we got two advertising slogans now. Not the best beer, but not the worst beer either.
Because I had some bad beers. Usually with Pearce, because he'd be like, "All right, we're gonna try it." Yeah. And it boggles the mind that if I could go back to 1987. And count the number of beers I drank with Jay, it would have to number well over 5,000. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, that's all we did.
So Margie, you're doing the commercial. You're doing the next Stag commercial. It's not the worst beer, but it's not the best beer, but it's not the worst either.
The worst beer.
You could probably adapt. There was an old beer from the East Coast. I want to say it was Pittsburgh, or I think so, called Schaefer. And they always had one of the greatest slogans I ever had. Schaefer, the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna have one, drink a good beer. But if you're just gonna get shit faced, drink Schaefer. Is how I always interpreted that. That could apply to Stag as well.
I think I only found 2 beers that Jay would not drink. He might be like, but he'd choke it down. He could not drink Old Speckled Hen.
But then who could?
That is shitty beer.
And then one time he opened a beer and took a sip and he handed it to me and he said, "You drink that fucking Blatz."
Well, Blatz, yeah.
Wow.
I'm from Milwaukee, and I ought to know. It's draft brewed Blatz beer wherever you go.
Blatz. I remember those.
Jay gave those to us.
Now this will probably make me tear up a little bit, but Jay, because we have a finished basement, and Jay came over and he goes, and I think I had mentioned to him that my dad liked Blatz, and that's like sex in a canoe because you're fucking close to water. But but he gave me these salt and pepper shakers, and they're one of my prized possessions. So
that is so cute.
Yes, our finished bar downstairs also features the X-Lax thermometer.
Good.
Okay, so those were salt and pepper shakers. I thought they were like mini bottles of real beer.
No, salt and pepper.
Yeah, you want to
you
don't want to get wasted. You got to drink about 85 of these.
It'll take a while.
There's an antique mall that we like to go to, Paducah, Kentucky, and that's where he got it.
So sorry about the follow-up. I apologize.
No, this is a podcast where we can swear.
Well, good, because we're doing it.
Well, yeah. It's hard to believe it's been a whole year, though. That's amazing to me, and I really appreciate everybody's support. I always want to make sure I say that. We appreciate your support.
I feel like that too, and I wanted to find a good time to say just I'm so thankful that he was surrounded by so much love, whether he knew it or not. I mean, I know he was sedated for a lot of time, but I think looking back, I have no regrets about how we did things. I think making sure that
people could come from far and wide to see him, and everybody that came and stayed, like Jay, Hedblade. I mean, you were there for a while, and Margie and Wade, and the whole family, like just all of us being there by his side. Everybody deserves that. Everybody in the world deserves to have that type of love when you're passing. But I'm just so grateful from the bottom of my heart that we could all just rally around him and give him that. And even longer than hospice, I mean, for the whole 3 months that he was sick, I mean, he had nothing but love and support around him. And I'll always be thankful for that everybody showed up and stayed and made time.
I'm so glad that I was able to be there as much as I was. Thankfully, I wasn't working, and I could come and stay with my friend Cynthia, and not have to worry about having a place to go to. But some of my favorite memories are like, that sounds weird, favorite memory at the hospital, but you guys would need a break, and you would go down to the cafeteria, get a bite to eat, and I would stay behind in the room, and so it would be just be Jay and me, and I could say the things that I guess I wouldn't say, and there's really nothing I wouldn't say in front of you, but it was still nice to have some of those private moments, and I felt very honored to be there. You guys you'd leave me alone in the room with them, and I'm like, okay, Jay and I are going to talk. We're going to talk while they're out of the room.
I have a saying that we are who we care about, and I cared about Jay. I really did. He was a good dude, and that's when I say somebody's a good dude, that's like a Nobel Peace Prize winner. And that's like, you can't get any higher than that. That guy, if he's a good dude, he's a good dude, and we are who we care about. And if I cared about Jay, I'm a great person, because he was a great person.
I'm fairly certain that he thought the same about you. There were times when I thought that our tableau was pretty biblical. I would look up and I would see his best friends leaning over him, his children leaning over him, his brother leaning over him. And to me, it was almost perfect. So thank you guys very much for that.
No, thank you for letting us be there. I know those were very personal moments for you. And the hardest, now I'm going to cry. The hardest night for me was the night I said goodbye and left the room.
Right.
But I knew it was time.
When was that?
I'm sorry?
When was that? Was that like the night before?
The night.
Because I thought that everybody had pretty much cleared out by like the 20th. So going into the 21st, I think it was just direct family at that point. But
we left the night of the 20th.
Yeah.
Because and we could have stayed. We didn't need to be home, but I knew it was time for just you and the family, and leaving the room that time was the hardest for me, but then that was your time.
Yeah.
And I that was not a place for me to be. I stayed till it was time to go.
I didn't think I was going to choke up much on this show, but getting hard to talk.
Yeah.
No, it was really hard today. I was watching your over and out video that you did, and you were saying it's a new day and people are going about their day, and
I don't know how I did that.
Just watch him pass, and oh my God, I've been crying my eyes out all morning this morning, but that especially made me tear. I haven't watched that one since that day, but just I don't know. Because I was talking to Cody about it, and I remember that Dale and I, and maybe you too, Gary, but we were all talking about, God, I wish it would just happen. Like, I wish he would just let go because it had been going on for days and days, and we were all just so worn out, and it's just so it's almost traumatizing to think about like how we sat and just watched him pass over an entire week, and thinking about the fact that it took a whole week is just it's so much harder to think about now than it was then, because we were going through it then. And I think, I had my tough face on, but now I look back, like, my God, I don't know, it's different.
For me, his death didn't really sink in, I think, until March. I don't think so. I think that a lot of that time you're kind of in what's happening. Your mind is telling you. Your emotions are just turmoil. And so,
yeah, if you don't mind, let me play that. People are wondering what that was.
Oh yeah.
See this? That is another new day getting started. The earth keeps turning. We lost Jay this morning at about, the family wants to say 4:20. Technically 4:19 this morning. Wednesday, August 20, come on, watch. Tell me what time. August 21st. Wednesday, 2024. So I'm Gary Pearce, and this will be the Jay and Gary Pancreatic Cancer Cast number 8, I think. Yeah, we lost Jay this morning. He finally let go at about 4:20, 4:19. And the family was all there. The medical staff gave us time to gather. I was back at the hotel, totally dead asleep because I hadn't had any in like almost 48 hours. And daughter Sara gave me a call and said they're seeing the signs. It's time to come in. Everybody who and Sara and Dale and Cody were all still in the room holding vigil overnight because they're young and they can do things like that. Yeah. And so Sara called me, and we all got there. Melissa got there. John Hickey got there. And we were all standing around Jay's bedside. It took another, I don't know, almost an hour from the time I got in. His breathing was shallow. His pulse rate was hanging in at over 110, but the oxygen level of his body was about 50%, which was not sustainable. So that was the big clue to get on in there. And then pretty quickly, over the course of a minute or two, his pulse rate just dropped, and he took a couple of last shallow breaths, and that was it. He was done. The pulse rate dropped to nothing, and he was gone. Brain-wise, he had probably been gone for a while. It's hard to say just how long, but I don't think there was anything going on in there in mental activity at that point in terms of hearing us, things like that. Probably not. Hard to say. So we will do a wrap-up, I'm sure, of the Jay and Gary Pancreatic Cancer Cast. And then it's looking to me like a bunch of people want to continue the Jay and Gary show. In what form, in what name, with what people, I can't say right now because I don't know, but I think something is going to happen. So always got to be a promoter. Something for us to have fun with, something for those of you who would love Jay to continue with his family and friends, and then perhaps, challenge Joe Rogan for dominance of the podcast world. Because, that's what we probably ought to be able to do. Let me wrap this up and thank everybody who came to Urbana. That's where the hospital is, technically, in Urbana, Champaign-Urbana. Thanks to everybody who came, to everybody who sent well wishes on Facebook, in texts, in actual physical cards, in candy. box of candy arrived from some folks in Rock Island that Jay had worked with on many of the public service activities that he was involved in up there. Jay knew a lot of people. A lot of people knew Jay, and everybody who knew him liked him or loved him, not just his family. So we thank all of you for your expressions over the past few days. And I know it's been a long few days for everyone waiting to find out what was going to happen, even though we knew what was going to happen, waiting to find out when it would happen. And so, as it turns out, it happened this morning, middle of the night, 4:20. Okay, we'll call it 4:20, and it's over. And like I said, new day, getting started. Talk to y'all later. I'm Gary Pearce for my brother Jay. The Jay and Gary Show, the Jay and Gary Pancreatic Cancer Cast. One last time here. Over and out. I was going to say, I don't know how I could have recorded that because I can't watch it. I thought it went on long enough that I could regain my composure, but right at the end, I lost it again.
I think the emotions were so high and things were so, we'd been up for a very long time at that point, and it was hard really to, at least for me, it was hard to cry at that point because I had been crying for 5 days straight, and it took me until the next day, which coincidentally is my birthday, to be able to really cry.
So your birthday is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I remember because we got together the next day.
Yeah.
For
and we had dinner.
A little mini celebration, but it was hard to celebrate something like that. It'll always be kind of connected.
Yeah, it's always going to be hard. And so tonight I'm taking a staycation, and I got a hotel room close by so I can just be by myself and feel the feelings. My therapist said that I need to feel the feelings, and that's something that I'm not good at. I have 2 jobs and I'm in school for a reason, because I can't just sit and wallow in my emotions. I have to do something with them, and I think that's my dad in me. Right. He doesn't he didn't just sit around and do nothing. He was productive with his time, and I feel like, I don't know, that's what I have to do. So that's what I did. Tomorrow I'm working a double, so I'll go to my full-time job and then immediately go to my part-time job, and then they all want to go out afterwards, and then on Saturday I immediately go to my full-time job and then also my part-time job, and on Sunday we'll take a rest day, but school's in full swing, and there's just not time to feel stuff. But today I took a half day so I could feel the things and listen to the podcasts and do all the stuff. But just like you said, I appreciate that you started it with, it's a new day and the world is still turning, the earth is still turning, and the carousel never stops spinning. It keeps going. But grief is so weird in that way, because it doesn't stop. Some days are fine, and days like today and yesterday, I haven't been able to stop crying for an hour period, but still goes on. Still got to do it.
Jay left a mark on so many people, so many things. And one thing that I'm a little bit angry about, but more than anything curious about, and in a way, thank God, Jay wasn't here to see the impending demise of NPR.
Oh, God.
But I would give anything to see him lead the charge. I don't know what he would have had up his sleeve. I don't know what his plan of attack would have been, but that fucker would have been on this shit. Yeah. Washington, D.C. would be burning. He would have mobilized in some way, some shape, some fashion. I don't know what he'd be doing, and I would love to see it. I wish I could channel that. What do you do? He would have an answer. Maybe not an answer. He would have a plan. He would have a proposal. He would mobilize while I sit here completely helpless. I would just love to see his insight and just see him like, we're not going down like this. We're not.
They could use him in this fight.
Absolutely.
Did you guys see that email? I stuck it on the family thread with his boss yesterday, saying that they miss him, and WILL was thinking of him. I don't know. I know he'd be mad. I know we'd have a lot of conversation going on here. That's for certain.
That'd be incredible to be a fly on the wall, just listening to him talk about it.
Yeah, I think that he'd be knee deep in it for sure, as much as he could be, and try to stay retired. Our thrust is supposed to be our grandkids, but it might not have worked out that way.
How the saying is, I don't want to die on that hill or whatever. I mean, he would have died 3 times on that hill.
Oh yeah.
He left public radio. I still struggle with what I do with the VIK career, again, like back to those pictures and stuff. And I feel like I've done a short shrift on the Quad Cities and all the stuff that Jay was so knee deep in. But I had energy for about that first 2 or 3 months after he died, and then it just all went with him. So my energy to do much up there is kind of faded, and it's a little painful too. I made it to Havana. I told you I was talking about going over to Carthage. So I've got 4 houses in Carthage that I want to buy. So
just 4?
Havana, and I got to that fucking bridge. I get to say fucking now. That 2-lane, you're just going straight up, and Melissa had a panic attack up at the top of the Havana bridge, and so I went straight up to Peoria. I went up, I don't remember what that is, but by the mounds, and drove straight up and went back over the Peoria Bridge. But I can't make it to the Quad Cities yet. Eventually I'll get there.
No.
But Rock Island is a little rough for me.
I don't think I could go back there right now either.
Yeah, it's, but there's a whole bunch of public radio stuff that he said and did, and that all seems to pertain now, There was a way I had enough thought process besides just planting flowers. I could do that, but plant flowers, that's all I can do. Working out houses. I work on houses all the time in my head.
I think
I have 4 houses in Carthage I want to buy.
I think planting flowers is the best thing because he loved doing that. And when he was going through his sickness, he made it a point to put all those flowers out. And I was questioning him every day that he said, I'm out here planting, what were they, along the fence?
Well, there's hosta along the fence, and we have impatiens along the fence. We have a lot of impatiens.
Impatiens. He loved those. And
Great.
He was out there doing that. And I was like, why are you doing that? Why aren't you resting? And he's like, I can't. Why would I sit and rest and think about having cancer? And I'm like, I get it. But God, just... but he loved his flowers. And that's one thing that I tell everybody that I meet up here, that my dad was so green thumbed, and that's like my favorite thing to brag about, is that he kept a flower garden so he could always make sure that you had fresh flowers.
Yeah.
And he loved us that much that we could always have a vase of fresh flowers. And
that that just sticks with me. It's so special, and oh my God, he set the bar so high for a friend and a boyfriend and a husband and all the things. I mean, he was so thoughtful in such a different way.
Yep. Well,
he did set the bar high.
Do you guys want to listen to a little bit more of Jay on the radio?
Yeah,
sure.
This is, he had I believe, a fairly brief tenure at KGMO in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I'm having a little bit of trouble putting my finger on when it was, because it sounded like it was only just a few months, because I've got bookends of shows before and after at WJPF. But KGMO might have been one of the bigger stations that he was at. And this is what he sounded like at that station.
Good morning. KGMO AM is on the air. KGMO AM is operated at a daylight power of 5,000 watts at 1,550 kilohertz as authorized by the Federal Communications Commission, Washington, D.C.
KGMO FM AM Cape Girardeau.
Get back, Loretta. Your mommy's waiting for you.
Get back, Loretta. Go home, girl. Get out of here. Good morning. And a happy Lindbergh's anniversary to you this morning.
Yes, dear friends, Merle's Truck Sales in Advance is much more than a truck dealer.
It's a shoe store.
No. Merle's Truck Sales is a TransStar dealer. That's right. Let's take the example of Fred Finster.
Okay.
Fred bought a truck from another truck dealer about 2 months ago. Last
I
week.
left this whole commercial in because it was so clever for a local spot.
You need a new motor, Mac. But I just bought this truck. Oh, yeah? Well, hot cheese, buddy. Did you look over your 10-mile or 10,000-second warranty?
Well, that kind of slop won't happen at Merle's Truck Sales in Advance because
Merle's loves you.
yes, ma'am. And besides, when you have please, when you have a great rig like TransStar, you won't have to worry about downtime. Just look at that Merle's service department.
We are the servicemen, the Merle servicemen. We can fix it no matter where or when.
Well, Mickey, I think that just about wraps it up.
No, Toots, I think this just about wraps it up. Merle's Breakfast of Truckers. Until next time, save us a table at Rhodes, will you?
Merle's had a big ag budget.
I don't know if they produced that at the station or they had an agency produce it. Sounds agency.
Hey, good morning to you. It is 6:06 on a TGIP. Thank God it's payday.
Thank God it's Pearce.
Jay Pearce at Cape's #1 music station, KGMO. I got the Marshall Tucker Band. That's Marshall Tucker Band, heard in the love song. It's 6:11 from
like
Cape's
70.
#1 music station on a Friday
That's like
morning.
79.
67 on the
It's
outside
77?
right now. Look at
Somewhere in there, 77, I think.
Yeah.
KGMO salutes the class of 77.
There we go.
Where were you in school when this song was being played? The year 1967.
From 1967, that's Bobby Gentry and the Oda Billy Joe, saluting the class of 77 from yours truly and KGMO. Jay Pearce on a Friday morning, reminding you the Grand Lodge of Missouri Independent Order of Oddfellows. Speaking of Oddfellows, no, I won't say that right now. And the Rebecca Assembly of Missouri will
almost
hold their
went there,
annual
almost.
sessions at Cape Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The Cape IOOF Lodge 675 and Cape Rebecca Lodge 508 are the host lodges. Jerry Davis comes your way at 10 o'clock this morning on KGMO AM and FM, and on the FM at 10:20. Don't forget there is NCAA Division II Championship baseball action. SEMO State against Mankato, live from Mankato, Minnesota, with Kevin Phillips.
Smooth.
618 at the Spirit. Hey, you know, a lot of red ripe strawberries are ready for your picking. Where? At the Blueberry Hill Farm. That's where, 8 miles north of Anna, Illinois, on New Route 51. And they're just 32 cents a pound. That's easy to live with. Containers are available at the field. Picking hours, 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. If you need more information, call 618-893-2397.
on down to Pocahontas.
Little farm news coming up at 20 after the hour, at 29 after Missouri Net State News, and I'll have news at 6:33 this morning. Don't forget 7:25 Howard Cosell, and at 7:15, lest we forget that David Frost and Richard Nixon will be back on the air once again with a little review of what they were talking about last night on another Nixon-Frost interview. You'll hear that at 7:15, 8:15, 9:15, and throughout the day today. You've wanted to own a motorcycle, so here's your big chance. Wheelsport, Old Highway 61 South in Cape, is having a Friday night special from 5 to 8 p.m. tonight only. You can buy a 75 Honda Super Rat for only $225, a 72 Kawasaki 175 for only $150, a 74 model Honda CR 125 for only $325.
Yeah, that's what local commercial production sounds like. That other one must have been agency.
Wheelsport, Old Highway 61 South in Cape.
Russians invade Washington, D.C. today.
6:26 at the Spirit. News is coming up next. 68 on the outside right now. This is Starbucks. Well, good morning at 6:33. Make that 6:34. It's 68 degrees on the outside. I'm Jay Pearce reporting KGMO News. The State Public Service
DJ to newsman.
Today, Southwestern Bell Telephone Company is going to try out a new rate service in some areas of the state. The PSC says the service will be optional.
Hear the teletype going in the background? Actually, it sounds like a dot matrix printer going in the background.
Be tried in St. Louis, Sedalia, and Caruthersville. Will allow a customer 20 outgoing calls a month at a reduced rate. Additional calls will be billed at the rate of 10 cents each. Airlines also recently added flights to Lambert Field in St. Louis. Right now it is 23 minutes before 7 o'clock, and I'll be back with a look at sports and weather in 30 seconds.
Because you expect more from a leader.
In sports, the Southeast Missouri State Indians beat South Dakota 6-5 yesterday in a game heard on KGMO AM and FM. Today, the Indians are up against Mankato as they move in.
So I wonder if he had more fun doing news or doing DJ. He never thought he was a very good DJ.
From Mankato, Minnesota on KGMO FM this morning at 10:30. The pregame show begins at 10:20. That's on KGMO FM this morning at 10:20 airtime. Kevin Phillips and the pregame show for SEMO State Indian Baseball. Well, on the diamonds in the National League last night, Reggie Stennett singled home Ed Kirkpatrick in the bottom of the 10th inning and lifted Pittsburgh over Los Angeles 6-5. Checking the immediate forecast for the Cape Girardeau area today, it'll be warm with a chance of thunder showers and a high around 90. Partly cloudy tonight and tomorrow with a good chance of showers and thunderstorms. The low tonight in the mid-60s and the high tomorrow in the 80s. The chance of rain is 30% for today, 50% for tonight and tomorrow. Winds will be southerly at 5 to 15 miles an hour today and tonight. Currently around the state in St. Louis, 68 degrees under clear skies. In Columbia, 67 degrees under partly cloudy skies. At Kansas City International Airport, 63 degrees, light rain showers. The same reported from KC Municipal Airport. And currently at KGMO, we have partly cloudy skies with a visibility of 5 miles.
Get back to the music, Jay.
The winds are calm, barometer rising from 30.05 inches of mercury. Humidity standing at 84%. It got up to 89 degrees yesterday.
Like what they do on TV now, which is the never-ending weather forecasts.
Degrees Fahrenheit, 19 degrees Celsius.
There we go.
18 minutes before 7 o'clock, Jay Pearce reporting KGMO News.
The spirit of America. The spirit of Cape Girardeau, KGMO.
It is 11 minutes before 7 o'clock on a Friday morning at the Spirit. Jay Pearce in a good mood because he gets paid today and goes home this weekend. 68 on the outside right now. 7:15 this morning, the first of one of the capsule reviews of what happened in last night's Nixon-Frost interview. You stay tuned for that, won't you? ABC News coming up at 5 before the hour. KGMO News on the hour.
And she's as close as your telephone.
In the Cape area, your hostess is Judy Messmer. Call her at 243-2351. That's 243-2351.
Okay, that goes on for a while yet.
So Jay mentioned a couple of times that he was pretty pumped about getting that paycheck, which was what, maybe $35?
They were small back then.
I gotta say, he may not have liked the DJ part of it, but it sounded like he hit the post on his talk up. So
yeah,
pretty good. Mm-hmm.
And
he's you know.
When I graduated from SIU, I didn't decide right away to come back to Chicagoland. I did stay in Carbondale for a while, and Jay hired me as a full-time staffer at WSIU, and I made $16,500 a year.
Oh wow, you were in the money.
Okay.
That was 1989.
Wow.
That's good money.
Yeah. I was thinking, how much did I make in 89? Working in medical supplies, so not a lot. Got over $7 an hour in those days. You were cooking.
But at least I had that sweet state health insurance. And then, you also, it's funny. I have no idea how to find this out. It would not be even worth my time. But from that short time I worked there, I do have some money in the state retirement system.
Wow, yeah.
It's probably $8 or $9. I don't think I'm going to bother to track it down, but yeah, I have state of Illinois retirement money out there waiting for me.
Honey, you can live on
For
that.
$8 or $9 though.
Yeah.
You
Sounds to me like it'll buy you a case of Stag.
you might have health insurance out there pending for you too.
Oh God, that would be awesome. Oh my God. Yeah. Don't get me started. We're both retired and painful.
Yeah, 1986, I was collapsing in Chicago, and I really wanted to go try radio one more time. And I got an offer that I turned down from WMBD in Peoria, and they were going to pay me $18,000 a year for doing 2 hours a night. And I turned that down because, for reasons I've explained on the show before, I was too deep into drugs and my brain was foggy, and I wanted to ride my motorcycle for a summer. So I did that. But then I got the job in Lake Havasu City for $14,000 a year, 1986. So, and no benefits. Peoria might have paid benefits. I don't know. Probably did. Arizona, no benefits. You're on your own. So it was not a lucrative career. I was probably doing better than that in those years.
I'm kind of curious. Cody and I are listening. Cody's actually here right next to me. He doesn't want to be on, but we were just chuckling over the fact of $18,000. Is that seems like so little now? But what was the price of gas? And like, if you filled up your cart with groceries back then, like, how much did that cost?
No,
I remember in 1980 being able to fill up a cart for $50. I remember spending $50 on groceries when I was 18, thinking, that's the most money I've ever spent on anything in my life, and now you can buy like 6 things for $50. It's
Well, I think when I first started driving, gas was 50 cents a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
No,
it would have been like 50. Yeah. No, yeah. Oh, yeah.
No.
50, 55, 56. I remember that.
When I first started driving, 1966, gas was in the mid 30 cents a gallon range in Illinois. And if you went down to Texas, it was 25 cents a gallon.
I remember 19 cents in Urbana. I remember 19 because Dad was complaining when it went to 20. I remember that.
Yeah. It took a big bump in 1974 when we had the gas crisis.
Oh, yeah. Gas crisis. Sorry.
Yeah. And so in 86, the town I was living in was isolated. It was in western Arizona along the Colorado River. It was 60 miles to the next nearest town through open desert. So the gas stations kind of screwed us on it. And I think it was in the mid $1.50 range there. Well, most of the rest of the country was probably more like $1.25. But I mean, that seems cheap now, but that was exorbitantly expensive from a few years before that.
Yeah. And then we could walk down and buy our dad cigarettes if we wanted to. Did that a few times.
Did you have to take a note with you?
Hell no.
Yeah, I think that came later. I remember kids saying, "Oh, I could buy cigarettes for my parents if I took a note to the store with me."
Mine would have said, "I won't smoke these on the way home. I'll smoke them when I get home." No.
Signed by Epstein's mother.
Yeah.
There's a reference only for people of a certain age.
But yeah, that if you say that now, people think it means something completely different.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, Gary, thank you for playing that audio, because that was certainly one I've never heard. It's interesting to hear Jay.
Yeah, your mid-career era.
Right. And as I was listening to that, it made me think about how, I grew up in West Central Illinois, and I listened to a lot of radio stations just like that, because that's what we had, right? And we would listen to WLS and CFL, the AM stations, big AM powerhouses that would come into Macomb as well. But when I was listening to Jay do that, it made me realize that those were the kind of voices when I was young that I heard that made me want to do that kind of thing. And he sounds just like him. I was like, wow, this guy can talk and be on the radio and talk about music. And, I was always fascinated with that hitting for people who don't know radio speak, hitting the post, obviously, is when you talk up that record right to the moment where the first lyric comes out. And that's kind of a lost art these days. I don't know, do people still do that, Gary?
I don't listen to any broadcast radio except an occasional NPR, so I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of where I am too. Maybe that's why I don't know. Anyway,
when you were doing WEBX, you were the kind of thing that did not talk over the music.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I remember actually having a conversation with Jay about that kind of thing before we went on air, because my brother and I were the program and music directors, and to Jay's credit, he had a hell of a lot more experience doing that kind of stuff than my brother and I did at that point, certainly. And nonetheless,
he couldn't do everything, though.
Right, but he recognized our position and gave us respect. For, okay, you guys are shaping the sound of this. What do you want to do? Kind of thing. And I remember him asking that kind of stuff, and I was like, our philosophy was, do what you do here. If you want to talk up a song, do it. If you don't want to, fine. We really weren't that precious about, in fact, if anything, we were all about, just getting rid of as many rules that you might think. And those are rules like what you must do and what you mustn't do kind of thing in radio. It was like, no, we're going to just talk to our audience. So however you do it. So I don't think we really, if someone could talk up a record and hit the post right, do it.
Yeah. They're in that era.
I was never that great at it, but
in that era, I'm remembering from Chicago, the station I'm thinking of was WXRT, and it was a respect the music kind of thing where you don't talk over the music. You introduce a song, or you probably back announce it. When we heard Jay do the little WEBX segment, he was back announcing 4 or 5 songs. So you played them, and then when they're done, then you said what you had heard, and maybe promote them coming up and in the next break, but not all the disc jockey stuff. But it sounds like some of you guys would do that if you felt like it.
Well, I do remember those conversations too, talking to some of our various jocks and stuff, and saying, "Hey, man, just talk to your audience." Okay, they're just like us. They're just people. Obviously, when you get on air, even if you're talking with your regular voice, there's always something in there because you are doing a performance. But it was fun because I remember listening to Jay in the morning when we first went on, and he was coming out of a hardcore news tradition, right? So even though he was back selling music and doing all that kind of stuff, it still had a newsy kind of vibe to him. And I remember when we were, sitting around shooting the shit one day about whatever, and he said something off the cuff that was funny. And I was like, be that on me. Bring that guy, right? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, talk to me like you're talking over a stag or something, because that's, and not like Jay needed any coaching from me. That wasn't it. But I think it was just, he there's so many rules with radio, and we were trying to take it back to like kind of what you're saying, that FM radio looseness to it, that from the original era of FM radio.
Yeah, Gary, you hit a heartstring there with WXRT. I mean, the only radio station I think that would ever play, Stand by REM until the end, where they go stand like that,
without talking over it, and then they would play a classical song. They would anything they felt like.
Yeah,
Cyndi, you grew up listening to Top 40 radio. Did you like the disc jockeys talking over the music, or did you feel annoyed that they were talking up until the vocal started?
I don't remember much of that happening on the stations that I listened to. And if it did, it didn't bother me. But yeah, don't remember that really.
Yeah. Margie, what was the ethics of that on the zoo programs that you were on?
Yeah, you talked right up to the post.
Now, did they let you do that?
Well, I was a co-host, and I was not good at hitting the post. So I would usually do the station ID and the temperature, and then my co-host would grab it and get us to the post. But that was also like DJs used to have to know, like in their memory, how long is the intro.
I know the song.
Yeah. And we had a countdown on the screen. It would count down to where it's, so you could actually watch the time go down when you had to shut up.
That's called cheating.
Yeah.
That's called cheating. But I never did that. I was not trusted to hit the post. So I would get us into the break, blah, blah, blah. Here's what's coming up. And then my co-host would squeak us in there.
Margie, couldn't you just stop that sentence at "I was not to be trusted"?
I was not to be trusted. So yeah, he.
You know her all too well, my friend.
Well, no. Here's the funny thing. I've worked in radio. This is shameful to admit. I've never operated a board before.
I was just going to ask if they, if you were just sitting with the mic, or they let you push the buttons.
I was sitting with the mic. My co-host pushed all the buttons. I never touched a damn thing.
Nice.
That's called luxury.
Yeah.
Never. And then, of course, we would record callers and playback little bits and stuff. And he did all that too. He ran that recorder, and God, he was good at it. Because you got to, a song is 3.5 minutes. You take a phone call, you talk, you hang up, you got to edit that call, and then play it back. And I would just sit there like filing my nails while he was doing all that.
Now they had computers to work on, right?
Yeah.
I started in radio as a board op and at WSIU, and I got out of radio because I just didn't. Other than Jay, who knew what the hell he was doing, everybody else was pretty much idiots. But I remember I'm doing a board op like for Morning Edition, and at the radio station we were at, there was the news booth was kind of behind and to my left, and so I'm like, newscast was coming up at the top of their NPR Morning Edition, and then they had the local news part, and you had to break away and go back to the network. And I remember I'm like my first board shift, and I'm like it's like 15 seconds to the news broadcast, and I'm looking back at the news booth, and Jay Pearce wasn't there yet, and I'm like 10 seconds, and I look back, and I'm like, not there yet. And then like 15 seconds before the newscast, I look over and he's like, "Oh, he's there." Yeah, they flip it on right, and he's like, then he goes right into his spiel. But
I forgot that. I guess I did have to hit the post at NPR because I had to finish my newscast before national kicked in. So I did have to get out of the news perfectly on time.
Yeah, they're really embarrassed if they are going just 2 seconds too long and fade up into the network part already in progress. Yep. Yeah, that was the bane of my little radio station existence. The last station. First of all, we were playing mostly 45 RPM records. So if I were going to try to talk up the post, I had to know the music. I had to know the song. Sometimes you can sort of get a feel for it, and there are some songs that you cannot tell. It's a long intro, like a Commodores or some of those songs. 20 seconds or 30 seconds worth of intro, and first of all, how are you going to talk over all that? What are you going to say? Give a weather forecast and read a commercial and hope you make it. Because I had you're right, Jay, it had no assistance other than just listening to what was going on behind me. But I tried. Sometimes I got it right.
You can't. The first commercial station I worked at, I was probably I was in my early 20s, and it was a mom and pop ramshackle little radio station. The kind of place I like to work. And they had built their own automation system on cassette decks. That'll tell you how ramshackle it was. But they had, all the music was on index cards, so it wasn't programmed. We were spinning 45s, occasionally an album, but mostly 45s. And we were into the CD era at this point, too, or pretty close to it, but they were still spinning 45s. And we had a CBS News at the top of the hour. And so I had to back time all of my hours. I did not have a back time clock, and math is not my strong suit. And then you're working in increments of 60s. Boy, that was a challenge. And when you said when you fade up into the news, that happened to me more than once, Gary. And I was quite embarrassed when that happened, but that was an education for sure.
And now the news already in progress.
Yep. There it was. Or the worst, you'd finish your spiel and the news wasn't there yet. Okay.
Yeah.
That was maybe even worse, frankly. But
that was my recurring nightmare. That I would be at a station and everything would end, and I back-timed everything wrong, and the news was like still 30 seconds away or more. Oh. And I had no cards to play. I couldn't find a weather forecast. No commercials. Not really enough time to do anything like that, but way too long to just sit there. And then one day at this station in Arizona, that's exactly what happened. And I discovered I could fill that time from my brain with nothing going on. Not trying to sound very professional. It was, it was pretty much, well, everybody, I really screwed this one up. The news is a minute away, and I got nothing to fill it with except whatever I'm about to babble on now. And I did, and I don't even remember getting a note from the boss about that. Usually I get a lot of notes at the end of the show. Did Jay send you notes?
Oh, God.
Jay send you notes at the end of a show to tell you what you screwed up? And
no.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember asking him one time, because I was doing middays at the Web, and it was day in, day out, whatever. And I just asked him one day. I was like, "Hey, do you listen during the midday?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, Tell me what you're hearing. Tell me, give me some pointers here, because you're too close to yourself to know. That kind of thing goes, "Oh man, you sound great. You sound great. Keep going. Just do what you do." Okay, I'll just keep doing it.
Jay was.
But I believed him.
He was in his Chunks is my dog's days. And you're talking about his voice, and then all you'd hear, "Chunks is my dog," coming out of that voice. Oh, yeah. That's an old joke, Gary. Do you know that joke?
I do not know. Maybe you can give me context.
Well, I'll let Jay Hedblade tell it, because I'll mess it up.
Why me?
Because you're good at it. I'm not.
It was not Jay that told it. It was Steve Poltz that
made
Steve
from the Rugburns.
Steve Poltz came up today on Facebook.
He made a jingle for Jay, and it was the Chunks is my dog.
The guy walks into the bar, Gary, and he's telling the bartender, "Oh my God, I got so drunk last night, I blew Chunks." And the guy says, "No big deal." And he says, "Yeah, it is. Chunks is my dog."
Okay, now I get it. And it's a good thing we're that kind of show.
That was a ditty. I remember that.
So all you needed.
Chunks is my dog. Chunks is my dog.
My dog. Chunks is my dog.
All you needed after that forever is the punchline.
Yeah.
Everybody who knew the joke. Everybody who didn't, like I was going, what?
So those were good old days. That's for sure.
Yep.
Well, I think that if anybody, Margie tells a story about how Margie just got a wet dry vac and they spilled a beer on a carpet and Jay backed it up with a wet dry vac and drank it. I think Amy said, did I do it justice or?
Yeah, that's basically what it was. He's like, "Let's try out your wet dry vac."
But was it at least a clean carpet previous to that?
Just say yes. Just say yes. Just say yes. For me and Sarah's sake.
But yeah,
because that'll be an image that'll stay with you.
The thing is, it wasn't a beer that was accidentally spilled. Jay said, "Have you tried this vacuum?" And, no. And he goes, "Well, let's." So he took a full 12-ounce beer, poured it into my carpet.
Probably not Stag because he wouldn't.
And then he got the vacuum and vacuumed it up and looked at how much he's like, "Yeah, that got about 11 ounces out of there. That's a pretty good vacuum." And then he drank it.
How many beers had been consumed up to that point? That's what I want to know.
Oh, God only knows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a really dark thought of mine when I hear those stories is like, kind of no wonder he got cancer. He drank out of that and out of a downspout multiple times. I mean, God knows how many chemicals and bacteria and oh my God, if he did that, like what else did he do in his lifetime? Like that he might have lived a short time, but he made the most out of every single moment of his life. And
oh my God,
he sure was not curious about anything.
He would eat or drink anything.
He was definitely he's the one that taught me about the 5-second rule. If something falls on the floor, he was not scared of that. But I guess now, kind of looking back, he also cleaned the floor, so he knew how clean his floors were. So
either knew or didn't care.
We were sitting in the newsroom in Carbondale, so WSIU, and there were 3 student staffers. It was me, Cheryl Weedy, and Vicky Fundater. We were sitting around shooting the shit, and it was Valentine's Day, and somebody sent all us news girls, a box of candy. We're like, oh, that's sweet. So we opened it up, and it says bullshit candies that have like Mandarin nougat and like not caramels and good tasting. Like you bite into it and go, what the fuck is this? And we throw it in the garbage.
Put it back in the box.
No, we go, ugh, throw it in the garbage. And Shay would go get them out of the garbage and go, this is fucking awesome.
Why am I not shocked by that at all?
He was an open book. He trusted your spit and every other thing. He knew you guys were good.
He always finished my plate at breakfast. If I didn't finish my bacon or pancakes or whatever, he always came in as the vacuum to finish all that up.
That appears to be a common trait among the Pearce brothers, because I do that too.
There's a picture. We probably showed it when we got together, but there's a picture of my brother's last day at the Web. And Margie, you had a party at your house. Remember that?
Yes.
A little farewell party for my brother. And she had put a hot pepper on the cake for him. I'm not sure why. Did you grow those? Oh, no. It was a really hot pepper.
I don't know where it came from.
Right. And my brother bit it or something. And Pearce was like, hey, man, I was going to eat that. And my brother goes, well, you can have it. And my brother leaned in and they passed it to each other with their mouths, of course. And I managed to catch a photo right when they were passing it. So it's a very, they're either passing a pepper or having a very deep soul kiss. I'm not sure which one.
And he would
That
not
one
be
didn't make it on any of the memorial videos. I know that.
but he would not be embarrassed by that at all. He would be happy to have that shown.
My husband was an open book. He wanted to make you guys laugh. That's all I can say.
Did that in spades.
I don't know if that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that speaks to the trauma in his life or what, but being the person that had to provide a laugh at any cost, that kind of tells me now through my years of therapy that he might have been doing that out of, trying to not think about things, or maybe he was just a funny guy and just always wanted to provide a laugh for people, but whatever it was.
I'm going to go with funny guy because Margie was out of town or something, and I just finished on the grass. I'm like, hey, Jay, because he was in town in Champaign. I'm like, hey, Jay, you want to go get messed up somewhere? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll come right over.
Ready to go.
I think he'd just like to have fun. That was one of the things. And
I think so.
Also, that's one of the things about when we were doing radio together. My brother and I always wanted to program as if we were having fun because, you know what? Radio's pretty fun. And and I think that's where we really bond. That's why our short professional life together with Jay turned into a lifelong friendship, was because he understood that about us and we understood that about him, right? We started having fun together, and then you kind of couldn't stop us. That momentum just kept going. That's why we had so much fun there, and I think that I'm not sure what Margie, where was he right before he came to the web? He was still down in Carbondale?
No, I think because he had that brief stint in Chicago.
I thought that was after Sara was born, though. Didn't he take Sara to Chicago with him quite a bit?
No, I didn't go to Chicago, but
Illinois Public
was in Champaign.
Yeah, I can't remember what he was.
Wasn't he at WMAQ for a year?
No, I think he was with one of the.
It was a news network
when
thing.
He was still married to Sue. He was still married to Sue, and he spent a year in Chicago. And
maybe it was IN
school.
Yeah, it was the news network, which WMAQ was an affiliate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and the only reason I ask is because I got the impression, and I could be completely wrong, that he was doing what he loved. He's doing radio, but that he wasn't having a lot of fun at that job necessarily. Or I don't know how fulfilling it was to him. I could be completely wrong, but I know that when we got him in our clutches, we started having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think
making radio, and he had said over the years, various things to that degree to me, where it was like I had so much fun doing that radio station with you.
I think that was the highlight.
Yeah,
for him.
I can't tell you. I'm going to cry hearing that, because look at that guy's career in radio.
Right.
I mean, look at it. That our little rinky-dink 3,000 watt little engine that could station somehow was that guy's radio highlight. That blows my mind. It was certainly my highlight, but I don't have the career he had. I know, that's not. It was my highlight because I lived and breathed it and put my heart and soul into it and had a lot of fun doing it. But to have him say that means more to me than virtually anything that anyone could tell me.
Yeah, I was asking about his career on the podcast, and I mentioned maybe being on the NPR board, or what was the big piece, and he said no, it was WBX.
my God. That's just, for me, that's an incredible honor to have been a part of the thing that he that was his highlight in radio is almost too much for me to handle.
Yeah.
I think he had a lot of fun. I think that was what was different was, maybe it had been almost a job and now it became fun with EBX.
Well, I think,
I hold a lot of pride in what he did those last 10 years. The people that he met and what he brought to the Quad Cities. You don't really see that with a radio station very often. That you go to an event and there's a table with your favorite radio station and they're passing out fans and you're going to hear you might hear your voice on the radio the next day. It's that kind of old timey radio that he did up at VIK and community engagement that I still am very proud of, and I think that each of us can take a portion of his time and go, wow, he really shone there. He was really shining, in each one of his careers. Each one of those.
That's how I see him, was that stretch of his career to me.
Right.
When I look, I'm like, this is the culmination of all that hard work that he did, and no one's earned it. No one's better at it. That's the part of his career that I look at and think of as there's a man in his full stride in radio and doing everything he should be doing it the way it should be done. I felt proud watching him do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I say if he thought what we did was something, that's really mind-blowing to me, because I think what he did there was that was the awe-inspiring thing to me.
I'm sure he put the value of the things he did across his career in different buckets.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's no question. 6 years on the NPR board, bringing a station in WVIK from, I don't know, you call it mediocrity, but from average.
Good. They were, kind of off the radar, and then all of a sudden, boom, at least in my opinion. Other people might have different ones, but.
So all those things, I'm sure that he felt value and appreciation. It's where he went to have fun in his memory. That was WEBX.
Right.
Well, and I think, from at least my mom's perspective and from his a little bit, just the web was something that he was a bigger part of. It wasn't just he was an employee. He was a major, major part of that. And being able to do that with people that he loved and trusted, and he got to, curate a staff and, what was going on, and he got to have a bigger say. I think that has a big impact too. That definitely, at least to me, that would be a career highlight. Absolutely.
I think, to that point, Sarah, I think that he told a story about Melissa. He was out with you, and I think he did some TV ads for the radio station in the Quad Cities.
Yeah, in VIK.
He said some kid goes, "Hey, that's the guy. That's the guy." And like you guys are at the movies or something, and he's like, "That's the guy on the radio."
Yeah. Yeah, they, he was loved wherever he went. I don't think he had quite the public face here in the Quad or in Champaign that he did up in the Quad Cities. Everybody knew who he was. There's a funny fella I think about talking to a few times recently, but Jay had this reputation, asking for money. When he went up there, he was worried about having to do that, having to talk to his listeners about, face to face. I need to ask you for money to keep the station going. And Leo would laugh whenever he saw Jay approaching and grab his wallet, and make a big deal out of, here comes Jay for my wallet. But he got good at that too, gracefully going and sitting in front of people and asking for big piles of money. And that was a moment.
Yeah, that's something that they could really use today too.
Yeah, he was not shy about doing that, and I was
not a lot that he wasn't good at.
So I wanted to say, speaking of doing things that or big moments and unusual. This may be the first and only podcast that ever had one of the hosts curling their hair during the show. I don't know. Does it happen a lot?
I'm a multitasking person.
Must have something going on tonight.
I'm taking myself on a staycation. I'm taking myself to dinner and then staying at a hotel by myself tonight.
And you want to look good.
Have some time to process feelings
and that's what I love about you curling your hair. You're going to sit alone in a hotel room and you're making yourself gorgeous.
She's going to look good doing it.
Yeah. You know, you got to do what I do. And whatever, I don't know. I think whatever it takes, you know, and to me, it takes putting in a little self-care and, you know, I don't know. I don't want to be miserable. I don't think my dad would want me to be miserable today. I think he'd want me to be happy and, you know, be celebrating and be joyous. And so I don't want to just sit around in sweatpants and a t-shirt being miserable all day.
You got to be you, girl. You do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the way this show has turned out. A few tears, a lot of laughs, a lot of memories.
And Cyndi has left the building.
I've heard her working around downstairs, so I'm not sure what, feeding cats and things like that. So,
Make it.
Yep.
I do have to give an honorable mention, though, to Manon and to Dale, because Manon and Dale were both there.
Right.
So when we let him go, and
your parents, Melissa, too.
Manon is going through a pregnancy and handling it like a champ. And Dale is going through being a stay-at-home parent. And, you know, even though they can't be here, you know, they're extremely supportive. And I'm just so thankful for that, I don't know, just...
This little family is hanging together.
Yeah. That's exactly it. This family's hanging together, and it's been amazing. And even, you know, extended family. You know, I've always thought of Margie and Wade like an aunt and an uncle. Or, you know, you don't have to be really. My dad always said that you don't have to be related to be family.
Chosen family.
Like Cynthia and Peter and so many other people. I have so many aunts and uncles. But, you know, you just...
And you got a lot of hair, too.
Yeah.
Unlike us.
More than me.
My girls taught me that curling irons don't necessarily burn down the house. They will burn a hell of a hole in the carpet, but
I burned
not down the house. Would have been good, maybe, once in a while if we'd had a curling iron burned. But
I never let that go. He always reminded me of holes that have burned in carpet that he's since replaced, but never let go.
No more carpet left in this house. I had people in for 10 weeks on this house. And
all hardwood floors now?
Yeah, well, it's luxury vinyl tile. Is what it is. You drop something on it and it sounds like you're in a Tupperware can. I would much rather have hardwood, but this is nice to wheelchairs. And I got a new kitchen. My kitchen is all, I don't know.
It looks awesome.
Yeah. The guy that did my tile work does mausoleums in his home country. And that's somewhere down south, his home country. And we got the bathrooms done. What else? The outside's still a wreck, but yard's better. I've had a lot of guys working on the yard. Manuel works on my yard. Isabella comes over and vacuums for me once a month. And I like these people. They're very affordable and they're very kind. And they are helping me out get through this year of living in a big old house. And
yeah, you weren't sure whether you were going to stay there or not, but it sounds like that you want to now.
Well, Mom and Dad and I looked at condos, and I was bumping into everything. I couldn't. I have claustrophobia anyway, and so I got super claustrophobic in those places. And the house was full of crap and junk that we'd been dragging around from all these moves that we'd made in the past 10, 15 years. And we just kind of looked at it and said, why don't you do the house instead? And so I made the house accessible and got rid of stuff that we didn't need anymore, and just got it good inside. Like I said, I used to have stuff to do out. But
it holds up because you go in there and it feels like, oh, it's a new house. It's, it's completely gutted and it looks totally different, but you can feel him in there. It's not, I don't know, it doesn't feel like somebody else is there or anything like that. I still feel like my dad's just in the next room every time I go there.
Yeah.
I think that's the most amazing feeling because it's always going to be home. It's not home, but it's still just, it feels like my childhood home. It's the best place. I love going there.
Well, I'm glad. I am certainly glad.
I'm looking forward to seeing it because all the changes. I remember what it was like when I was there this time last year, and it's going to be pretty amazing.
Jay was finishing up all of his leftover projects. He had a lot of projects to finish, and this house was one of them. I was never a big fan of this house. I loved it when we first bought it, but it's always needed a lot of work. And I was lucky that Dad was able to help me out with that. And we'd put a roof on it last year. The guy that walked through, Pedro, with Roof Panther, and Jay immediately were best buddies. And Jay walked him through and showed him all the projects that he had to do here in this house. And, when Dad made the offer, I ran a few other people through, but Pedro always just stood in the yard and looked at me like, when are you going to get done with all your business, Melissa, and let me do the house? And that's what he did. Those guys walked in the middle of December, and I was holed up in one room. I didn't want to leave my one room, but they just kept working around me, and pretty soon I'd cry a little bit and they'd come and hug me. And so that was my my moment. I don't know how to explain this. I'm getting kind of...
Pedro kind of took it on as a passion project after a while.
These guys were...
He
awesome.
kept suggestions and was just so kind.
I realized at one point I'd left my purse out in the kitchen wide open for 2 weeks, and I had people going in and out of my house that I never knew or did, and nothing bad ever happened. They were so kind and wonderful, and so my little consolation crew was a bunch of 30 to 40-year-old men from South America, but we got along great, and they did a beautiful job on this house. And he's anxious to come and work on the outside too, but I can ignore the outside for a lot longer, especially during the Dump administration. I can wait to spend my money.
And hopefully Trump is leaving them alone.
Well, I hope so. I don't put up any pictures. I have pictures of those guys and stuff.
Well, as
far as I know, they're all named Juan, and they're all from Mexico. That's all I know.
The one thing I remember about your house was I think you were up in the Quad Cities, and we had just had a tornado. And
there's always a tornado.
We had to call Jay because I think he was up there at the time.
Yeah.
And we had to call Jay and let him know that a tree fell through his neighbor's window and not yours. And he was like, "Fuck."
I know.
I never knew anybody who wanted a tornado to hit their house. I mean, obviously he wasn't there, but
I know. It came right up to the bottom of the driveway.
Yeah, I think it bounced over your house.
Yeah, of course.
Looking around, your neighbor's house has got a tree, like a tree in the living room, and I'm just like, So,
yeah, it was a project to finish. He loved this house. He loved the yard. It's a third of an acre. He always wanted to come down and work on the yard. He did a beautiful job in Rock Island. He actually did finish that house. He finished the kitchen and the flooring was all done, and we were able to sell it for a good profit, and made us very happy. So we were pretty confident coming here. Now that I had Pedro in for 10 weeks and I actually could see some of the problems, I think that we probably would have ended up calling Pedro at some point, because there was a lot of water damage. We'd replaced the roof last year, and that calmed all that down, but we still had to contend with what was here. So I lost a few walls and some floor, because it was in the floors. The rot was in the floors. And those guys were awesome. They'd say, "Miss Melissa, come and look," and I'd go and look at it, and they'd throw it all out the back window, and that was the last of it. And but like I said, I made friends that would come in and put their arms around me and talk to me, and miss that. So,
you know what it means when music starts to come in at a show. It means it's time to wrap up the show. I don't have to stop the Zoom. You guys we can keep on going on Zoom as long as we want, but I'm going to let the audience go. There isn't any actually an audience on YouTube live at this
You
moment.
gotta go start dinner.
At some point. Yep. That's always a consideration on a long program like that. But I want to thank you guys for helping share this historic day for us. A year ago today, Jay, my brother, Melissa's husband, Sara and Dale's father, and Wade and Margie, and Jay, Hedblade's very good friend and a co-worker, passed away a year ago this morning, 4:20 a.m.
Let's go with 4:20.
Yeah, and we're kind of celebrating. So, thank you guys for being here to do a show with me, and we will wrap it up and do some more shows if you guys are interested.
All right.
So let me make this thing go away. Everybody, goodbye. And this has been the Jay and Gary Show. Over and out.
guys, thank you. I'm gonna hang up. Thank you.